Housing development progress. Number one and the best. Housing development progress. Number one. Number one. Housing development progress. Number one and the best. Housing development progress. Number one. Housing development progress. In Nigeria. Housing development progress. In Africa. Housing development progress. And the globe. Number one. Housing development progress.
The role of social housing is absolutely crucial. It provides a home for people who cannot otherwise access one. It builds communities and gives people support, which helps them to live healthy, happy lives. When you talk about social housing for the masses, the words that comes to mind are cheap, affordable, non-profit driven, mass-produced houses that could be occupied by low-income earners who may wish to save towards eventually buying such houses over time. Generally, social housing deals with housing solutions that are priced and financed in a way that ensures low-income occupants could satisfy other basic needs, even though the scarcity of affordable housing affects all segments of the society. There is a need for the government to evolve an effective housing policy which will guarantee more affordable houses to the low-income earners. Welcome to another informative episode of Housing Development, a show where we discuss housing affordability and accessibility to all Nigerians. As always, I am Flora Ani, your housing diva. Let's go over to our news desk to see what is trending in the housing sector. I will be back.
The Federal Housing Authority has commenced the celebration of its 50th year anniversary, which is to mark 50 years of contributing to housing development in Nigeria. As part of the event to mark the celebration is a 3-day get-together conference on housing discussion, which will take place Wednesday, the 22nd of November, 2023 at the International Conference Center, Abuja. The event, which will be declared open by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will also have in attendance 4 past presidents of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who has contributed tremendously to the development of the organization. The event will feature an array of dignitaries from within and outside Nigeria, including state governors. Pioneer civil society organization in the Nigeria housing industry, Housing Development Advocacy Network (HDAN), has expressed dismay with dissatisfaction about a report published in one of Nigeria's national dailies, Premium Times, on how Mr. President was misinformed to sign the bill on real estate regulation in Nigeria, which has not passed through necessary legislative processes at both the House of Reps and the Senate. This was contained in a statement signed by the Executive Director, Festus Adebayo, recently in Abuja. While expressing his shock over the incident, Adebayo noted that HDAN was yet to understand why there was so much desperation on the part of some stakeholders to get the bill signed into law by Mr. President, even when it has not gotten the necessary legislative nod. While commending Premium Times for the investigative report, which has not been denied by the Clerk of the National Assembly, Adebayo called on the Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Dangiwa, to intervene by setting up a committee that will have representatives of all professional bodies and civil society to review the available bills for all-inclusive bill that achieve the goal for professionals using the real estate business with clear rules of operations. The Dean of the School of Environmental Technology and Coordinator, Institute for Land and Community Resilience, Professor Olurotimi Kemiki, has disclosed that only about 5% of the 13.7 million housing units in Nigeria were financed with a mortgage. This was disclosed recently at the Conference for Directors of Lands in the Federal and State Ministries, Departments and Agencies with the theme Improving Land-Based Revenue of the Federating Units in Nigeria through Efficient and Effective Land Administration in Lagos. The chairman of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners FCT chapter, Lami Ayuba, noted that 70% of the challenges confronting the housing sector were associated with difficulty in accessing mortgage, adding that the government needs to engage in social housing in order to meet the needs of low-income earners, people working in the private sector, as well as petty traders.
For more housing, construction, and finance news, do well to visit www.africanhousingnews.com. Living in Kaduna State can mean having access to an affordable life. But what does living in Kabala Doki, a neighborhood in Kaduna North local government area, mean? Let's find out as we take a visit to Kabala Doki.
Living in Kaduna State can mean having access to an affordable life. But what does living in Kabala Doki, a neighborhood in Kaduna North local government area, mean? Kabala Doki, a neighborhood in Kaduna State, is not left out in the dictionary term of the word suburb. The population in this neighborhood cannot be questioned, as it has grown to become a busy area because of the market. A street named Lagos Street in Kabala is not so habitable for residents, as the living conditions are not conducive. Even at that, the cost of living in this area has increased drastically. Alhaji Abdul Qadir Jafaru, chief of Yoruba people in Lagos Street, who has been living in the area for many years, expressed his dissatisfaction over the living conditions of the area.
Living condition in Kaduna now is very high. Before, we are renting one single room, 15,000, 20,000. Now, going to 50,000 for a room. So, the living condition now is too high. It's too high in Kaduna now.
Malam Suleiman narrated the harsh living conditions in Kabala Doki. Speaking with Housing TV Africa, Malam Suleiman said,
To gaskiya kin san Kaduna bariki ce. Ita ce hedikwata arewa a Najeriya. Kuma zaman da ake Kaduna sai ka shirya dan zama ne na 'yan bariki. Saboda haka gida a Kaduna a yanzu yana cikin wani hali na ha'ula'i. Saboda gida yayi tsada.
He pleads with the government to bring the Nigerian economy back to life.
Residents of Kabala Doki in Kaduna State there talking about their living conditions. Next in line is Plateau State as we visit Mama Iyabo area in Jos South. Have a look.
Nestled in the heart of Jos, the capital city of Plateau State, lies Mama Iyabo, a community that defies the odds. Despite being in the capital city, the community faces a myriad of challenges that threaten its residents' well-being. The fast-growing community is home to over 500 residents in Jos South. While the community might be in the city of Jos, its living conditions are challenging for its residents, becoming a concern for proper and basic living standards. The community is cut off from the rest of the city by a dusty and bumpy road that is barely passable by vehicles, making it a nightmare for the residents to commute to their homes. The houses in the community are dilapidated structures with water leaking from the bathrooms and toilets of the residents, creating a breeding ground for diseases and infections. The residents resort to using mosquito nets for their windows to ward off the swarms of mosquitoes that invade their homes from the stagnant gutters and broken pipes. When asked about the challenges of living in the community, Bethel Malam, a resident of the community, expressed his frustration and despair.
You suffer before you go get water, you go to work out where before you get water first. Dirty, the area is dirty. Even though it's finish spend the area and it's still dirty. But if you like, look at that.
While some residents have no issues with electricity, others have been living in darkness, as many tenants are required to pay for their own meters and may still not have power supply regardless, according to Felix Yusuf, a young resident.
60,000, they have paid all the things. They have paid for it. They didn't do it daylight.
Another resident says the economic situation of most residents of the community poses a threat to security.
I've been in this area for ever since I was given birth to, you get, and so there are no cases of all of these collating, like they will stop you, block you in the night, collect your phone, you get. We have just pockets of stealing here and there, but you know that one is normal everywhere. But then it will increase if this thing is not stopped. Like when they don't have money to do all of these things they are doing, they will venture into stealing. And then when they venture into stealing, the street will not be safe in the night. 7 o'clock, business will have to shut down because you are scared they might come and,
Water is a scarce and precious resource for the community, as their wells dry up during Harmattan. Amidst the many challenges of the community, there are some residents who try to make a difference and improve living conditions.
We came here, we saw the need of this community. So my son, actually it's my son, we saw the need for the community, that there's no water here except that one. Even that one there is a church that put it for them. And when you come here, I used to visit my son. That time we have not put our own. See the line, the way they will queue and queue and queue and queue round and round. And my son said, Mommy, look at what is happening. I said, how do these people survive without with this situation? So I should know what that is, expecting one. Once he gets it, that he will do something about it. That's how we come up with this idea of the water. We are happy that we are serving the people, and the people are getting water to drink. Most of them will come and appreciate us and say, that we have helped them.
The residents of Mama Iyabo cling to the hope that someday the government will intervene and transform the living conditions of the community.
It's good news. Are you a stakeholder in the built environment, or you are looking for an authentic, credible source for housing and construction news in Africa? You now have an opportunity. Africa International Housing Show has now created a unique opportunity for you by establishing a full-fledged housing television, the first of its kind in Africa. You can now access information on home ownership, rental, building materials, finance, real estate and insurance, among others, all on Housing TV Africa, channel 149 on StarTime.
The living condition of a community have direct or indirect effect on the physical, mental health of the people. Poor quality housing in informal settlements shows manifestations in hazardous locations, lack of basic services, substandard housing, overcrowding, unhealthy living conditions. Poor living conditions are often associated with poor health. Good housing, a healthy environment, access to safe drinking water have positive effect on the general well-being of the resident. I will be back shortly. Stay with Housing Development.
Federal Housing Authority, una do well for what una they do for Nigeria. FCTA housing all over the country, uniting Nigeria through housing. Okonkwo don't get a house, Adamu don't get a house, Fumilayo get a home for Nigeria. Golden Jubilee FCTA, congratulations FCTA. Jubilee FHA. Congratulations, FHA. 50th anniversary, no be joke. Congratulations, FHA. Happy anniversary, FHA. Congratulations, FHA.
FHA, uniting Nigeria through housing.
Welcome back. The program is Housing Development, still in the northern part of Nigeria, precisely in Kaduna State. We sample the current price of building materials from sellers. Have a look.
With continuous dependence on importation and the high cost of transportation, inflation is hitting the building material market as prices of building materials are on the rise in every part of the country. A visit to Kaduna State, the Center of Learning, further gave us an insight into the worries and challenges business owners that are into building materials are going through in today's present-day economy. The lamentations of sellers of building materials in Kaduna State are no different from every other seller who has spoken to Housing TV Africa on the current prices of building materials. Speaking to Housing TV Africa, Mr. Ifediri Patrick Okonkwo expressed his concerns about how business has been slow over the past few months. Ifediri listed out the current prices of toilet wares.
This one now before, I sold it here for 14,000 naira. Now it's 23,000 naira. As of today, price. I'm not even telling you about tomorrow because price might change tomorrow based on the dollar. So like this one now is 8,000 naira, now it's 14,000. This particular one now, we are selling it before was 5,500, but now it's 8,000 naira. Like this thing now before, I'm selling this towel hanger. Towel hanger, I sold it at 12,000 naira, but now it's 19,000 naira in the market. Even this mirror before it was 80,000 naira. We sold it, but right now we are selling it for 14,000, 15,000.
Mr. Chike, who is into made in Nigerian goods, also shared his concerns on the increment of prices in tiles, as he said it is worrisome that Nigerians can no longer afford made in Nigerian goods any longer, as most of the producers of these goods are attributing the increment in prices of building materials on the exchange rate, as they have to import the raw materials for production.
Once for 1950 is, look at it at the back here, this one's 25 by 40 is the size, but now we are selling it 2,200, 2,150, depending on how customer bargain. You have to sell because you have already buy it. If you don't sell, you know how it is. You need to go house with money, and everybody, family need money to grow life now. These big ones, 60 by 60. Normally we are selling it 2,850 per square meter, but currently now it's 3,002. Then we have 30 by 60. Formerly is 2,800. These long ones, 2,800. But now we are selling 3,002, 3,150.
For Virginia Cornelius, a dealer in paints, is the same story.
Market has been so dull due to the increase of price recently. So market has been somehow. As for the satin white, we're selling before 60,000, but as of now it's 70,000. This is the VME Emulsion white. We're selling it for 32,500 naira before, but now it's 34,000 naira.
Surprisingly, the current price of cement has gone down as a dealer in cement, Tina Kuju, expressed her excitement about how business has been going smoothly, adding that the price of cement has reduced.
We're selling 5,000, but now it's 4-5.
As the seasonal Harmattan wind blows in a haze in Kaduna State, business owners are calling on the federal government to find a quick solution to solving the issues facing the country's economy. From Kaduna State, Maimuna Bagudu reporting for Housing Development.
The lamentations of sellers of building materials in Kaduna State are no different from every other sellers from other states who have spoken to housing development on the current prices of building materials. Moving on, the 12th meeting of the National Council of Land, Housing and Urban Development was held recently in Kaduna State. Our correspondent will give full details.
The 12th meeting of the National Council on Lands, Housing and Urban Development, with the theme Harnessing Local and International Credit Schemes as a Panacea for Affordable Housing Infrastructure Development under the Renewed Hope Agenda, was held in the city of Kaduna. The council meeting of the Honorable Minister and the Honorable Commissioners was held on Thursday, 16th of November 2023, with the attendance of the Honorable Minister of the Federal Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Musa Dangiwa, the Minister of State, Housing and Urban Development, Abdullahi Tijani Gwazo, Chairman, Senate Committee on Housing and Urban Development, Senator Aminu Tambuwal, with other dignitaries across the nation. Giving his keynote address, the Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Architect Ahmed Musa Dangiwa, stated that the theme for this year's meeting focused on harnessing local and international credit schemes for affordable housing infrastructure development under the Renewed Hope Agenda, highlighting the key challenges in housing delivery to include land administration.
As the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, I have taken Mr. President's vision and I'm determined to actualize it. Our aim at the Ministry is to implement the most historic housing and urban sector reforms the country has ever witnessed. We want to drive through the initiatives that will create an enabling environment for easier, safer, and profitable private sector investments in the sectors. A notable part of our housing sector reforms, what we envisioned is a streamlined land administration that cuts through the bureaucratic bottlenecks and systemic inefficiencies to ensure cost-effective and efficient access to land for both individuals and investors in the country. So with the Land Use Act, the reason why we have all the bottlenecks because we don't have an institution that will regulate and guide it and for its own operationalization. So under the Renewed Hope Agenda of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu GCFR, we aim to fix this systemic anomaly. We are working to establish the National Land Commission. Part of their work of the National Land Commission will be to outline clear implementation guidelines for the Land Use Act to chart a new path for effective land administration in the country.
Expressing gratitude, the Chairman, Senate Committee on Housing and Urban Development, His Excellency Senator Aminu Tambuwal, while giving his goodwill message, commended the National Assembly for the collaboration between the Senate and the House committees in ensuring that policies that foster the provision of houses are passed timely.
I appreciate the theme of this council, harnessing local and international credit schemes as a panacea for affordable housing infrastructure development under the Renewed Hope Agenda. This subsector is very key and important in the growth of our people, in the growth of our economy. One of the easiest ways and fastest ways you can redistribute wealth and create wealth and generate growth is investments in constructions, particularly in housing. Rest assured, Honourable Minister and members of Council, and the National Assembly, we are very ready to partner with you, to cooperate with you, to support you in whatever we can for us to deliver housing and affordable housing, for that matter, to our teeming populace.
Speaking with Housing TV Africa, the Honorable Commissioner, Kaduna State Ministry of Housing and Urban Development, Right Honorable Aminu Abdullahi Shagali, spoke on the achievement of the Kaduna State government.
No, we already provided almost 50 hectares of land to the federal government for housing And we are at the forefront of issue of housing in the whole part of in the whole north. So we are doing everything possible to make sure that we reduce the housing deficit in our states.
Commissioners from various states spoke to housingtv Africa about how they have been able to provide affordable housing for the people of their states, despite the country's current economic situation.
Well, Lagos State is doing a lot in the area of housing, especially for the low-income earners. The government has been focused in making sure that we bring in more people into the housing ladder. And as we speak, we have a rent-to-home program. All you need to do is to have 5% of the cost that has already been subsidized by the government, in some cases up to 50%. And you pay over 10 years and at 6% simple interest rate.
And in this year's 12th meeting of the National Council on Lands, Housing and Urban Development, a motion was passed for the 13th meeting, which will take place in Gombe State.
It's countdown to African Housing Awards 2023. Join us at the African Housing Awards as we honor the trailblazers and visionaries shaping the future of housing in Africa. African Housing Awards is the most prestigious housing awards in Africa. Be a part of it on the 9th of December 2023 at the International Conference Center, Abuja, Nigeria.
It is that time of the year when we celebrate the excellent achievements of individuals and companies in the housing and construction industry. Which company or individual deserves to be honored for exceptionalism, hard work, dedication, and success in the construction and housing industry at the prestigious Africa Housing Awards 2023? Who deserves to be crowned the Housing Finance Person of the Year, Real Estate Company of the Year, CEO of Real Estate of the Year, Most Housing-Friendly Governor of the Year, Furniture Company of the Year, Most Admired Real Estate Brand, and other 30 categories. Vote for your preferred company and individual via the website www.africahousingawards.com. Africa Housing Awards, the most prestigious housing awards in Africa.
And it's a wrap on today's edition of Housing Development. Thanks for watching. Join me same time next week. Until then, have a pleasant day ahead. I remain your Housing Diva, Flora Annie.